Well met, everyone. I am Rich the Lich. Today is a Ramble Rich video. Grab your popcorn and be ready for some good stuff. I saw Avengers last night, so really good movie. I enjoyed it. No spoilers, only one, maybe a small one. Captain America's in it. All right, so the focus of today's video is going to be on how to use your strengths as a dungeon master and how you can take those strengths and bring them to the table. What the hell? How you can take those strengths, bring them to the table, and create some situations, some events, adventures, and story that are just a bit cooler, a bit better. So what do I mean? I'm going to pull off of my own background. By day, I am a strength and conditioning coach. I am a personal trainer. I'm a fitness professional. I spend my hours during the day training, helping others lose weight, gain weight, the young folk become better athletes, be more explosive. Mostly, though, I spend a lot of my principles and just my method of training is geared towards strength, helping people become stronger. Yes, there's, of course, mental and emotional strength that comes about when I help someone achieve a goal and achieve something that they thought was previously unattainable in the world of fitness or physicality. So there's certainly some mental and emotional strength, but I train a lot towards physical strength. You may each have, and you will have, your own strengths. And I'm talking about things that are outside of the table space, so outside of the game. Yes, they may be your hobbies. They may even be, as it is for me, beyond that, it's a passion. It's part of my lifestyle. But before D&D existed, you know, especially if you're as old as I am, and, you know, I've got a bunch of things that I've done over many, many decades. You may be a musician. You may be a wonderfully skilled musician. As I said, you may be one hell of an artist. You might have some graphic design background. Whatever it may be, perhaps you're the world's greatest mother and you juggle 6 children. You're whatever, okay? So let's say, for example, Matt Mercer, right? The juggernaut that is Critical Role. He's the dungeon master for that. He is a voice actor. And what he brings to the table in regards to NPCs is better than what any of us could ever possibly even hope to achieve, just because there's so many layers and just so much nuance and detail and good bits there, because he can they all can get into character better than most people. That's what their lifestyle is. So use those things that you have and try and wrangle that in. And I understand there's a lot of times that people will want to kind of shy away from that, where my daily life, my grind is this, and D&D is my escape, right? It's my way to get away from the grind and the rut of my 9 to 5 or my 40-hour, my office space type thing, right? You know, I'm stuck in the cubicle, whatever. I'm an IT guy. Last thing I want to do is look at a screen and look at this and look at code and I want to just write some stuff down and throw down and kill dragons and whatnot, right? But think of ways that you can incorporate the things that you're best at in real life, your best skill sets, and bring those to the table, because you're going to create, number one, a level of authenticity. Your players are going to be able to see that. You're also going to do it possibly better, unless there's others in the same profession, better than anyone else in that regard. So there's an automatic level of excellence there because you're that good at it. And the other thing is, it just provides sort of an easy background that you can always go to, because it's easy for me to try and wrangle in strength and health. And when I deal with like a barbarian or a fighter or something like that, the physicality of a thing, that's easy for me. So I don't have any stress when I'm creating content in regards to that stuff. I automatically have a certain level of confidence that goes above and beyond my normal. I shouldn't have eaten that damn popcorn. Hold on. There's an automatic level of confidence that goes above and beyond what you normally can do, because of the simple fact that I know what I'm talking about, you know? And the beauty in that is you just have some more freedom to maybe take some liberties and take some chances, because you always feel like if it does get a little bit out of sorts and a little chaotic, you can easily sort of herd that and get that back and corral that in, just quite simply because you know exactly what it should look and feel like. So what do I mean? Let me give you sort of a personal example, as I said, being a fitness guy. And maybe it'll get the wheels turning a little bit, so that as a dungeon master, the point of this Ramble Rich video, all of my videos, whether it's Fun Fights, Ramble Rich, or even my reviews, is to just give you my perspective on something that might help to improve your game. I want to show you an awesome thing. So we got this guy. This dude, his name is Jax. Like the guy from Mortal Kombat, Jax, right? Come on, get in here. Say something. Say something. All right, he's done. Don't bother me. Stop scratching stuff, dude. So let's take a look at how I take my strengths, no pun intended, and what I might be able to do with that at the table. And maybe when you see the way my wheels are spinning here and the things I go through, you might be able to latch onto that and do the same with your strengths and bringing it to your gaming table. So I understand in exhausting detail the little bits and pieces and nuances that go into building a gym. What sort of equipment might one need to have in order to achieve a certain level of fitness, right? Or depending on what the goals are. Obviously, there's a lot of common sense here. If you want to be a bodybuilder, you need to have access to weights. If you want to be a ninja warrior or perhaps a rock climber, you need a lot of things that have to do with grip strength. A lot of things that have to do with being able to do hangs, to do what they call brachiation, which is like basically what orangutans will do, right? Like the ability to move and hang from one object and sort of propel yourself, locomotion. If you are going to just do basic martial arts and movement, you need some kind of good floor mats and just the space, and so on and so forth, right? If you want to run and you're in a really cold weather place for 6 months of the year, you might want a treadmill, a place that you can run all times of the year. So common sense. But because of that knowledge, what I can do is I can say, okay, well, what are some strong things? What are people, characters in a Dungeons and Dragons fantasy world like that have to do with physicality, that have to do with the elements of personal training, that have to do with bodybuilding? Well, I would think of maybe a fighter's guild, a brawler's guild, a barbarian guild, you know, or maybe just I had in my recent campaign, in my current campaign, I should say, where there's Grint. He's like the god of barbarians. He's just this over-the-top rage. He's not evil, but he's not blood for the blood god Khorne from Warhammer Fantasy, but you know, he's the god of barbarians. And the PCs, there's 2 members of my group of 10, insane amount of players, that are followers of Grint. And they took part in this arena battle where they're fighting for the glory of Grint, basically. So something like that. They didn't join the guild per se, but they went to Grint Shrine, which was basically you're going to fight and fight and fight. And that's how you sort of pay worship to him. So they took place in something like this. The details that went about as far as how I explained that arena combat, sure, we can always look off of Gladiator and movies and various cool, nerdy, geeky stuff that's out there that shows the way something like that might go down. But I pulled off of my own personal strengths of knowing behind the scenes when you're prepping for that arena battle, before you head up the stairs, you know, and bring yourself in front of the large crowd, the stadium. What are the things that might be in the back? And I started to wrangle that in a little bit and figure out the equipment that I currently have in my own gym where I train my clients. What would those equipment pieces look like back then? Sure, you can do some research on Wikipedia of what did a medieval gym look like, but you have a lot more of just the very primal, raw, basic strength, just like you would see in Vikings or something like this, and the Norsemen, you know, things that you would see in Game of Thrones. Just wood chopping. I actually use sledgehammers in some of my training, where I take a sledgehammer and will strike against a big tractor tire. The core strength, the rotational work that comes out of something like that. So you would have just large chunks of wood that are to be broken up. You would have the Atlas stone concept from Strongman, where you have just large rocks that are brought in, where it looks like an Umber Hulk dug out part of a tunnel and just left rubble, that has now become a little section where these soon-to-be fighters, these arena contestants, will grab these large piles of rock and just move them from one. That's all they're doing, is moving them from one place to another. But in that, I carry sandbags with my clients, and not only do I train them, I do this myself. I live and breathe. I always want to be able to practice what I preach. So I know what these things feel like. I know the exertion it causes on the body and where. I know what sort of muscles these things develop. So why, when you see the barbarian come out and he has the big broad shoulders and the big chest and a larger back, I know what sort of pulling exercises. You see where I'm going? And even if you don't have the knowledge that I would, and when it comes to strength training and muscularity and physical stuff, take those principles, take those things, and try and figure out how you can apply IT or real estate, whatever you do professionally, whatever you do for a career. Take those things and figure out how they might fit into a medieval world. If you know music, you might have more nuance and detail when you're dealing with the Bards Guild or anyone that's doing any sort of persuasion or performance checks. You just understand the nuances of those things. Obviously, if you're some sort of a cook or you're a bartender, you might have a better visual and be able to create a little better ambiance and atmosphere when you're describing the inside of a tavern, because you're just familiar with the various people that have been at your bar, and you know what I mean? And just that sort of thing. So play off of your strengths. Take those strengths that you have, and don't always just try and escape from that life, but use it and incorporate it to create just a better environment, a better situation, a better NPC, maybe just a better adventure, and maybe even entirely a better campaign. So take what you're good at. Use that as fuel. Imagine it in a Dungeons and Dragons space. And when you can do that, you're going to create just really cool, authentic things. It's going to feel accurate. It's going to make sense. You can put a lot more detail to it because you know the behind the scenes of how that works. And most importantly, you'll go at the table in the session with so much more confidence, because this is an area that you spend 40 hours of your week doing. So you know this like the back of your hand. So go forth with confidence. Improve your game by relying on your strengths. That's all I have for you folks today. Thanks for watching. See you later.